So 7 million from Instagram in how long?
This would be 17 weeks.
Pound it. Let's go! That's what I'm talking about. Meet Lucas. After 17 weeks in the program, he now has over $7 million under contract, all from Instagram. But it wasn't always like that. Before he came into the program, he had recently left a team and knew he wanted to get leads from Instagram, just didn't know how he was gonna make it happen. So in this video, we break it down on how he started in the program, how he ended, and basically his advice to other people that wanna have similar success to him.
This year, since I started with you, I've had a better year than I've had in the last 2 years. I've doubled my commission in the last 2 years, and I've already blown away the goal that I had in sales that I wanted this year just to be on my own. I don't pay attention much to the wins because I've been like laser focused on just keep staying consistent, plugging away, doing new reels, and trying to figure out what people are responding to. So I've just been so laser focused on that even when the lead comes in, I have a conversation and they're a new buyer or a new seller, I just move on. I haven't even talked about it. So
yeah,
I thought I should mention it because here we are 17 weeks later. Yeah.
So before we met, what were you doing? What was your Instagram like? How were you generating leads?
So if I back up to last year where I was still on a team and I didn't go solo yet, but I've been like diving deep into trying to go solo. A lot of my leads were coming from either Google ads because I hired a company to run some Google ads in the area, but the leads were they suck because they come in at like 1 or 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. in the morning. A lot of realtors like to door knock, drop off flyers, do cold calls, do open houses for other realtors. Like that is not me. I don't like that. I want to spend more time with my kid. And I know that social media is an active tool that has to be bringing leads in. And that's where I started dialing in, trying to figure out how do I get leads on Instagram? That's how I ran into your account. Like, how do I do this? Because I would see that my views started climbing up, but I couldn't break out of the Instagram jail, just my followers watching my stuff. It was how do I get actual non-followers to watch me? That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
So before I was just doing green screen things. I was tinkering with TikTok, Facebook ads, Google ads. I was doing everything I can to try to get leads in before I jumped ship and went solo because I wanted to figure out how can I prospect better and actually get active leads. I wasn't really focused on selling lifestyle because I couldn't figure out what the balance was of how do I not just be another realtor in the cog? How do I separate myself from all this? That was what I was trying to figure out.
Okay.
So Facebook ad and Google ads, which was getting nothing. I mean, I was getting, you do an ad here and there. You get maybe 100 leads, but nobody talks to you. That doesn't mean anything, right?
Right. So it's been 16 weeks now. You were one of the first people, if not the first person, to really take on the whole program in terms of what I had created, because you had belief. You had belief in what essentially just the framework of what I was teaching, right?
Yep.
And so you jumped in. It's been 16 weeks. You've gained only about 100 followers, which is crazy considering you've put over 3 million in contract and have had a total of 11 active clients. Now, some of those are probably either gone or close. So it's probably more in between 7 to 10, somewhere around that. You just had 2 offers accepted last week. So we're towards the tail end and things were a little rough in the beginning. It wasn't for lack of consistency that you weren't getting results. So what changed?
I think when you first start, I feel like it was in your program. You first start, you think, okay, here's the first 30 days. And you do 2 posts a day for the first 2 weeks. And you got to get the muscle working. And once I figured out what worked for me, there's things I still need to work on. There's still things I really want to be doing. So I started just looking back at my B-roll stuff and posting. Once a day, I make a post. I read your emails that come up every Monday, which is gold to me. So we got to talk about that. And then I've been following you, following other content creators, kind of taking on what you were saying. Look back what other prompts people are doing that are content creators. And can you take that prompt that's already working for somebody, recreate it to make it work for you? I just kept plugging away and figuring out what works.
Yeah.
At this moment in time. Right now, it's the white block.
Yeah.
Black text. with some prompts that work. And I've been recycling some of my stuff. I'll look back and go, okay, this one had like 3,000 views 3 months ago. What would it do today if I changed the prompt a little bit, but along the same lines?
Isn't it crazy how you said, well, this font is working. Like, could a font have like that much of an impact?
A font, music, the caption. I mean, it's like a trifecta, right? You got to have something that captures somebody, that's making them want to stop. And that's where you're talking about before is now I go into every video and I'll make sure that the video pops, make sure that the text is towards my ideal client in mind. And then have a caption that actually gives some value. So when you're telling your story, I think that's the biggest thing is I'm now telling my story because I realize that that's what's resonating with people. Why did I make the change from where I was living to where I'm living now? And what do I love about it? And that is giving people trust to come into my community and start a conversation. I think a lot of it came down to too is it was a few weeks ago, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, you mentioned this, and it was so smart with the with all the pillars that you've added with your with the stories and the reels and new followers, which I actually haven't even tried that portion yet, and I've thought about it, but I just haven't had the time to dive into that pillar of it. But you're looking at it as like an open house, right? And people are either walking by or they're kind of sticking their head in, or they're walking in and saying hi, or they got a question they need to ask you, you know. Once I started thinking about that as an approach, especially in the stories, that's kind of when things started taking off. Been getting a lot more response, and I see that the views are happening, the follows are happening, people are responding guide consistently, more downloads of it, having conversations, and it's like, okay, this is what I've been trying to get going, to the point of like, I can't even follow up on these leads because the new leads coming in are the ones having the conversations with me. So there's no point looking back at, you know, if I look back at my reels and I'm looking at just the interactions, I have, you probably can't see it, but
oh wow,
this whole thing, those are all leads I've thrown into general.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch that are still in primary as well.
Yeah.
That these are people who have responded, like, here's 5 right here. I need to tag over to actual leads because these are the ones I had conversations with today. Yeah. Or didn't conversations, the ones I sent the script to today.
Perfect.
But like, I'm doing like 3 to 5 of these a day, and I'm getting a conversation a day. And that is what this was all about. Now I got to turn that into actual buys and sells, but I am. I actually had this one. I meant to tell you this. So this was fantastic. I was like, this has got to be a scam, but it wasn't. I've started this conversation with her, and we're going to chat more about it. So, okay. So she responded to one of my reels when I did a couple weeks ago, and it still has traction. So people are still commenting guide and sharing it and all that stuff. So she goes and she responds to this. She's like, first she comments guide, and I see that she's downloaded it. I'm like, okay, well, I want to figure out which reel does she comment guide on. I look, and then she's commented, the most related IG account I've seen in a while. Yes, get me out of here. That's get me out of Vancouver is what she means, because the reel was about me leaving Vancouver and the 5 reasons why we did it. And so I was like, oh, okay, sweet. So I'm like, I'm trying to figure it out, try to kind of code what she was saying. And then, so I started the conversation with her after she commented guide. I sent your script, and she's like, well, I've been wanting to move out of Vancouver for the past 4 years, and your content spoke directly to me, and I'm sure so many others. I'm like, okay, sweet. And she's like, I've been researching the surrounding areas on my own, so I feel like your Instagram will be a helpful tool in assisting me in narrowing down where we should go. So I started the conversation. We went back and forth. Where are you living? Why are you moving? What are you looking for? What's your dream outcome? And we had this conversation all day yesterday. We're going to get back on a phone call today, get her set up on a search. And it's not whether she's ready right now to make the move. It's the fact that she's put the trust in me to be the one to guide her when she's ready. And that's a dream, right? That's cool.
Messaging, man, it's those conversations that can just add a little check mark to, okay, my messaging's in the right direction. And that is so important that people just do not get that part. It's not all about conversations. It's not all about leads. It's not all about closed deals, because the more that you front load the part about your messaging, the more everything else just flows right through, like so much easier. Do you feel confident now? Like, you know what you need to do to like just like you were talking about. So you started, you were with someone else, you knew you needed Instagram, you didn't know what to do. Do you now feel like you know what you need to do?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I feel like I have enough tools in the tool shed to just get out there and start doing more. I'm confident enough to not be afraid. Like I was nervous my first 2 months on my own. I was like, okay, this might not work out well. But I mean, this year, since I started with you, I've had a better year than I've had in the last 2 years. I've doubled my commission in the last 2 years, and I've already blown away the goal that I had in sales that I wanted this year just to be on my own. And that's given me confidence to go, okay, I should have done this 2 years ago, but whatever, here we are.
Fucking awesome, man. That is so good to hear. That's what this whole thing's about, because in the end, I really don't feel like this is complicated. I really feel like when you think a certain way, it's impossible. It's actually impossible. It's like trying to ride a bike backwards. All you got to do is just turn around, and now it's easier. Yeah. And as soon as you realize, like, do you feel like you're not thinking as hard or trying as hard to come up with content? Or like,
oh, totally. It's so much easier because I'm more just documenting what's going on in my daily life. As long as you are focused on your ideal client, it's so easy now to just produce content. So easy.
So easy.
I don't even think about selling real estate anymore. So I've already started thinking, and you've been doing some of the stuff too, is that with my new listings, I'm not doing these listing videos that 99% of the realtors are doing out there, because the only people watching that are the 99% of realtors watching it. I want my ideal client to see my thing, to see my stuff, come into my community and let me show you what I have available. If it doesn't work, then let's go look somewhere else.
Exactly.
It makes so much sense.
When we stop thinking like, I'm going to sell this house on Instagram, and more like, oh, I have a house that I could sell on Instagram, but in the end, it's just like an open house. It's just like you're talking about. It's literally just like, am I going to sell this house at this open house? Probably not. But am I going to get some leads and conversations started? Probably.
That's 100%. I realize, especially here in Vancouver, it's a specific lifestyle people want. It has nothing to do with the house that they're trying to buy. It's the lifestyle. They want nature. They want mountains. They want trails. They want to be out of the concrete jungle of downtown. They're just afraid of making that move. But once they realize other people have made the move and it's really not that far away, but you have so much more going on out here.
Yep.
More affordability, better lifestyle. Okay, let's start talking about that.
To anybody who's watching this video and thinking about joining this program, what do you feel like is the fastest way to not get success?
The fastest way to not get success is not joining the program, but also you got to just keep doing the work. The system's in place. You put the system in place and you've made it actually, not only did you put it in place, you decided, hey, I'm also going to get my real estate license and I'm going to show you. How many people are out there selling a program, but don't actually show you what the heck they're selling? So that was an extra added confidence boost in what you're doing that I was like, what am I doing? I need to just get on board with this. But every week you're adapting and you're growing as a coach. That's like, I've watched that. I'm like, okay, I need to now take what he's doing and try even harder myself, put the trust into it. That doesn't answer your question at all.
No, but okay, but like, what do people need to do to have success? Because there are people who will have more success than other people. So what are the common denominators? Like, what do you feel like had to be done to see the results?
Well, you got to put the work in. Like, you got to actually I see this all the time where people will plug away for the first 2 weeks or a week, not staying consistent. Keep putting reels out. Like for me, it's once a day. I'm doing minimum one a day, if not two. Then I jumped into the stories. I have to stay consistent, keep that muscle going. If I don't post once a day, then I feel like I've failed. So I built that muscle to keep doing it. And then on top of that, talking to my ideal client was the biggest game changer of all. I'm not talking to a buyer or a seller and an investor. I'm talking to a 30 to 45-year-old young couple who wants to set roots in the suburbs, has a kid, has a dog, wants the lifestyle that I live, and is basically me. I'm talking to myself. Would I like this? Because I know if I like this, other people would. I don't need to talk to everybody. And once I got rid of everybody else that I've been trying to also talk to in this vague thing, it was a complete game changer. That was the biggest thing. Because how many people do you talk to where you're like, who's your ideal client? Well, I work with everybody. So you work with nobody.
So if you want to start getting leads from Instagram the fun way and build your personal brand, then click the link below and book a call, and I'll see you on the inside.